My name is Hyung-min Yoon. I'm an artist based in Vancouver, but I was born and raised in Seoul, Korea. So I work primarily as a conceptual artist, and I work with a lot of other people to finalize the work, which is the part that I enjoy very much because I often get to work with different professionals and fabricators, and I also get ideas, while having a discussion on my work. And then until then, the work is always just in my head, and quite a solitary process. I am drawn to the concept of meaning and the language, universal language as well. But in order for me to express it as art, I think I need something more specific. So that's why I work with Chinese characters, and there's a body of work that I use Chinese characters, but very simple words. And those words that I use have 3,000 years old history. And so I go back to the beginning of how people might have came up with those symbols, and it's very inspiring to think about. Seedling is basically a location-based AR project, AR sculpture that you can see at Lafarge Lake. It's just above the water through your own application that you download on your phone or on your tablet. How it came about is quite closely related to my previous work, where I use Chinese characters and creating an illuminated sculpture, but upside down, and putting it above water, so the reflection to correct it. This work doesn't look anything like that, but like I was considering the theme in the same way, and started from actually the Chinese character meaning tree, and how the ancient symbol for it is closely related to the current form, but it's just that more symmetrical. And that was very interesting to see that, like people acknowledge that, even though most of the roots are underground and we don't see. So I brought in tree, but as a seedling. Also kind of because we are used to seeing big trees, but seedlings are sort of unseen in the forest, and very tiny and skinny. But it has all the basics like structure to be a big tree, just like any babies of any beings. Water is actually a medium, and you watch water like a screen. So like my intention is to make it more like an animation versus picture, that just the sculpture getting reflected, but water is always flowing, and water is something that's been here longer than those symbolic characters also. So I thought it works well. In case of Seedling, it doesn't have that interactive function, but it's still hovering above the water, and I think it's pretty important for me that it is still standing there. And also in Lafarge Lake, it's naturally just the people walk around the lake, like circling around the lake. So such a great place to have it up. So Lafarge Lake, as a man-made lake, I was really excited to hear read about the history about the lake. It was an abandoned quarry, and it was sort of perfect to have this work up because it is a completely cultured nature. There's nothing there. And I looked it up, some old photos, and compared with current park, and every single thing has been planned and made, just like most of the part that we live, that we don't think that is like, we kind of consider tree as nature, but we planted it. So it is a different relationship in a way, and it really gets us to think about the climate change and Anthropocene that we are living. Augmented reality was something that I wanted to learn more about for a while, and then the pandemic happened. I think that really triggered me to jump in, and I really wanted to do something. Initially, when I first made a scan of this little seedling, I thought of making it physically, as a physical sculpture. And then suddenly I thought, like, that's perfect thing for AR, because to actually make that as a physical sculpture with that skinny body and blowing up size, that's quite a challenge. And I was really intrigued by this weightless sculpture that I could also put in a specific spot. With AR also, I wanted to provide a space to contemplate. So I added a sound component, and there's actually sort of a white noise that you can hear from the headset. And there's two different sounds when you just looking at the phone, and then when the work appears, when the ceiling appears, it changes into a completely white noise, sort of to enhance concentration. And it also helps to make more personal space, even though you're outside and there are other people doing the same thing next to you. I'm hoping that gives you your own space, being in your own space. I thought that really got me to think about AR and trying different medium, which I think it's an absolutely interesting place to experiment as an artist. Still in AR, like AR in fine arts, that's very beginning stage. Like now I get to see, some works done with the bigger institutions, but there's so much to investigate.